Feels nice to do an episode without Blake, to be honest. No, I'm kidding. We miss you, Blake. Get back soon.
We'll see how this goes, and maybe we'll make this a permanent change. What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Signal Callers DFS Show. Today, we are talking about some of our favorite late-round sleepers. We're looking to find the next Puka or Kyren Williams on today's show. Blake is somewhere in Europe doing something, so it's just me and Trey here tonight with y'all. What's up, man?
What up, my dude? Feels nice to do an episode without Blake, to be honest. No, I'm kidding. We miss you, Blake. Get back soon.
We'll see how this goes, and maybe we'll make this a permanent change. No, I'm just joking.
But yeah, man, home stretch. Like a week left today till the season. So
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Trying to get these last few best ball drafts in before the super casuals pile in. And then we've got our home league draft this weekend. So looking forward to that. I'll be in New Orleans. Yeah. Hanging out with you guys Sunday.
Looking forward to it. What was that what was that stat you were telling me about, that they're expecting like a bunch of people to flood into the Millie, like right at the bell?
Yeah, usually every year. So the DraftKings Millie is at 882,000 people. Right now it's at 751K. Every year this last week they do about 100 to 150K. So like nice. This is where most of it's going to be crazy. This weekend, it's a Labor Day weekend, 4-day weekend, like people will be drafting. So it's going to fill pretty quick. I doubt it overlays for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure the lobbies are going to be crazy. We're hoping to maybe sneak one last draft in before next Thursday, but stay tuned for that.
Yep.
But yeah, so let's just hop into some of this news. We've had a lot go on since the last time we were on here. We're going to kind of run through some of the big ones. Today is August 28th, so we're going to talk about the biggest news that's probably broken all summer for sure. It doesn't necessarily have to do anything with best ball specifically, but I think it does have some ramifications for two of the teams involved. So today, the Packers acquired Micah Parsons in a trade from Dallas. The Green Bay Packers are acquiring all-pro pass rusher Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys. They have agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract extension, including $136 million guaranteed. That is an insane number.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably worth it. If you're the Packers, you probably feel pretty good about this. What are your thoughts on this, Trey? Initial, how does it affect both of these teams in any way on the offensive side?
Yeah, my phone's been blowing up. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Dallas, even though I'm a New Orleans boy. I've lived in Dallas the last 10 years, so I've got a lot of Cowboy fan friends. And my texts have been blowing up because they are in shambles over this. Like, if you had any doubts that Jerry Jones is the worst GM in the league today, you can let him go, because it's not even a debate. And I say that this is coming from a Saints fan that's dealt with Mickey Loomis the last few years. Yeah, man. What's crazy about this is like this dude's 26 years old, about to enter his prime, and it's like, if there's ever a guy that's worth it, it's him. He's like a defensive system anchor, insane pressure rate, like one of the highest in history, just by himself. Like he beats guys. This is like the most no-brainer pay the man situation, and Jerry's ego gets in the way. I mean, he even came out and said, like, I think we're better prepared to win more than the last few years.
And you know who this sounds like? It sounds like the Mavericks GM after they traded Luka away. Imagine being a Dallas sports fan for the last, like 9 months. I mean, I thought we had it bad in New Orleans, but they are going through it this year.
Hey, our team gave up 2 firsts for Marcus Davenport. So
we don't got to talk about that one. This obviously makes the Dallas defense a lot worse. So you would think that they could potentially be in some more shootout games or just negative game scripts, which lends you to believe that we could get a little bit more offensive firepower coming from or just being necessary in Dallas. So Green Bay, they're just going for it. They're probably right up there at the top now as Super Bowl contenders, especially in the NFC. This kind of bolsters how you feel about the offenses, or how we have felt about the offenses. You're still really high on Dallas. doesn't take anything away from him. Maybe it even makes him a little bit more enticing.
Yeah, we had hyped up the Dallas stack a little bit in the stacks episode, and I just think you got to be more bullish on CD and Pickens and that offense having to air it out more. And on the flip side of it, with Green Bay, this kind of makes me feel better about Josh Jacobs. I think this is a big boost to their defense, so they're going to be able to control game script and kind of just tote the rock with Jacobs a lot more. And I think he gives them a defensive floor and raises their ceiling, so they can control pace a little bit with the run game. So yeah, huge swing for the Packers.
Crazy news.
And once again, the GOAT of all sports agents, David Mulligetta, does it again. And his other big name client is Jordan Love. So this makes a ton of sense.
Honestly, it's been a crazy offseason. I don't know that it just feels like there's been a lot more moves than normal in the NFL. I feel like it's rare to see a guy like, especially Parsons, he didn't even hit his second contract with the Cowboys to be moved. So it's kind of unprecedented, it feels like, and kind of feels like the Packers got to steal, especially if what's being reported as the compensation is true. So,
dude, real quick, could you imagine being a Cowboys fan? 25 years, they haven't done anything.
No.
The Packers stole their souls last year in the playoffs. One of the most embarrassing playoff loses, and then you just give them your best player.
Yeah, and they only got two first rounders, one next year and one in 2027.
A wash defensive tackle. And one last thing, they didn't even have Parsons would have, because he got $47 million. All they had to they could have got him earlier. He would have given them a discount. Then Myles Garrett typed the market with 40. They could have got him for 35, 36, topping Bosa.
It's all about. I mean, when has it ever worked out where these teams that are playing these games and trying to push these guys later on in the offseason, when has it ever worked out for them? Right? They usually end up not saving any money, and in the process doing terrible PR damage to themselves. Let's move on to another big piece of news. We've been talking about this all off season. Just another wind in the road of this Rashee Rice news. So came out yesterday that Rashee Rice has accepted a 6-game suspension, and he will serve that to start the season. So Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice is accepting and will serve a 6-game suspension to start the 2025 regular season. The league and the NFL Players Association are working to finalize a settlement, which will end the limbo surrounding Rice's off-the-field issues. He will be eligible to return for a Week 7 divisional clash against the Las Vegas Raiders on October 19th. How you feeling about this one?
Yeah, at least we have clarity now with him, right? I think this makes him a little more favorable than where he had been going. Obviously, for best ball tournaments, because now you have him. You have him when all the money's won. You have him when it matters. This guarantees that. So I've bumped him almost around in terms of where I'd be willing to take him. He had been falling into the 6th. I think I'm back to wanting to take him at that turn. But yeah, I mean, it's just a super fun way to play if you have the depth early to survive his suspension, right?
Yeah.
I love pairing him with Worthy. The KC double stack now makes a ton of sense because without him, Worthy should fly, and then you have him to kind of take you home. That's now worth the capital you have to invest to get all three of those players, I think.
And I think this, you got to feel good about it because we talked about it a couple episodes ago. We were looking at him potentially coming back either the week before the playoffs start or the week of the playoffs start. So how does that go a week back after sitting for 2 months without being on the team? So now he's back in Week 7. So plenty of time to get reacclimated, get back into the flow of things before, like you said, all the money's up for grabs. So
yeah. And if it had stayed to where he played the first 4 and then still got a 6-gamer, you would have had to factor in the bye week too. So it almost about a 7-week hit.
Right.
This gives you a bit of a runaway for him to.
This honestly does feel like best case scenario. I mean, kind of almost why was this not the case from the jump? Why did we play these games with the first 4? I don't know, man. Some of this stuff is just crazy. But like you said, some clarity and actually good news potentially coming out of this one. So let's move on to some probably bad news. We got some updates on Mixon. Again, this is a dude that we've been talking about a lot. Mixon, Houston Texans general manager Nick Caserio was non-committal on whether running back Joe Mixon will play during the 2025 season when asked at a Wednesday press conference. The veteran back is on the reserve non-football injury list, meaning he will miss at least the first 4 games, but the Texans haven't seemed especially optimistic about his return. Caserio said Mixon will be evaluated after 4 weeks, but ultimately answered, quote, "We'll see." Terrible vibes. Terrible.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I had said in previous pods that I was like still willing to mix him in to some teams, but I think I'm now to the point where it's just like I'm not drafting him. To be honest, especially with so few bullets left. Like I'm at 5% Joe Mixon. There's really no reason to be any higher than that. Let the casuals come in and kind of step on that landmine. He'll be an L for me, ADP value wise, but 5% I can live with.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because like throughout the offseason they had been saying we're optimistic he could be back for week 1. Like there was just this like hope. Now for them to talk this grim and this broad, like Blake could say, well, we'll see if we get him this year. I'm backing off. So
it's a tough one to swallow for anybody who was drafted early in the summer. I imagine, like you said, just kind of have to live with that one. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right. No point in exacerbating
it. Do you have any thoughts off the top of your head about any of the other guys there? I mean, I know we've talked about Woody Marks on this pod before. Damian Pierce has also been getting a little bit of shine. How do you see that one kind of shaking out?
I mean, it looks like Chubb's gonna get a chance. And if there's by some miracle he's more like he's got more gas in the tank than the coach speak would indicate, then that's going to bury me for sure. Because
is this a complete stay away? I know that we talked before we started recording about how you're trying to get some last minute shots up, trying to just get some last minute exposures. Are you targeting this backfield at all, or are you just kind of completely staying away, trying to get Chubb at any point, or no?
I mean, I may grab. It's just. I just hate those kinds of clicks in best ball when you know the narrative will never be this guy's a league winner.
Right.
So I mean, if I'm just way behind at running back and I need some early production, maybe Chubb. I got my bags full of Woody Marks when he was free,
right?
And so I don't really see a lot of reasons to take him now with where he's going. And I guess the guy that I have started to draft a little bit in the last couple of rounds is Damian Pierce. If you're bearish on Chubb, you got to think maybe he split some of that 2-down work with Pierce. It makes me more bullish on their passing game though. I've been back into leaning into Nico, and Stroud and Higgins and those guys.
Let's move on to another weird one, which we've been talking about a lot about this guy. Some more Godwin stuff came out. I mean, it's kind of been like yo-yoing back and forth with this news. Obviously it was reported up for a while that he could potentially be on the PUP list. Then it was reported that he could be back between week 2 and 5. Then there was a report that he passed his physical randomly. So it's kind of been all over the place. And then the latest says Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin will miss the first month of the 2025 season and possibly more, according to general manager Jason Licht. The GM framed Godwin's return as likely October in week 5 or later. So this is coming directly from the GM now. Man, I mean, obviously we don't know what the hell to do with Godwin here. But Egbuka is, I mean, he might be a third rounder by Thursday.
Yeah. Yep. I was looking at the team earlier today. I had Egbuka at 99.
Crazy.
Those are the good times.
Crazy.
But yeah, this is confusing, man, because it's like, why give him $44 million guaranteed? Why activate him and not put him on PUP or IR if you know he won't be back until week 5 plus? You're just carrying the roster spot, the game day roster spot. I don't get it. So it's that's just kind of malpractice, right? Why wouldn't you free up the spot if this guy, unless he's gonna play?
This feels a lot like, I think we've alluded to it on one episode. We talked about Godwin, I feel like, on every episode, but this feels a lot like Michael Thomas. And like the situation kind of surrounding it. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but there was just a lot of shadiness. There was like surgeries that were supposed to happen that didn't happen, that ended up happening late. So I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I don't want to speculate on that, but like you said, something's not really adding up. He definitely feels like a shy away at complete. I mean, obviously we're talking best ball, but we're about to get into home leagues, and he's not even on any radar of mine on any of these leagues. Just because even when he does come back, I mean, they're not even committal about him coming back in week 5. This seems like they're still trying to be coy about that. So who knows if that's even in the realm of possibility, or if this is just one of those things that they're like pushing off and pushing off and pushing off, you know?
I'm at 6.8% Godwin, and my average pick is at 78, which hurts. So, like, I'll take him if I've got the depth and I can get him at insane value, because I do think he could be a guy that comes back
on the back end,
hits your lineup a few weeks on the back end. But yeah, it's just weird. I mean, if you're following the tea leaves, it's like you're not putting him on pup on IR. You're telling me to draft him because maybe he's ahead of schedule. Maybe they're just kind of playing it close to the vest. I don't know, but he falls sometimes enough to where I tend to draft wide receiver heavy. I can kind of take on the risk. So
it's also crazy too, because like one of the last reports we saw was that he wasn't even running, then he passed a physical to be on the final roster, on the starting day roster, but now he's not playing until week 5. I don't know. It's just
how do you pass a physical and not run? And why is he still going higher than Ayuk, who is running?
Yeah, it's like you said. It them not putting him on the designated pup list, it makes you feel like he should be back, but it's just one of those things that I feel like I'm probably just going to be completely either right or completely wrong on. So and I'll just kind of live with that, you know. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Kind of alluded to this earlier when we were talking about teams just dragging contract issues out, but Terry McLaurin finally back in camp, got the deal done. Washington Commanders have signed star wide receiver Terry McLaurin to a 3-year contract extension worth over $96 million. So he's finally back. Before you jump in on this one, this makes no sense to me. Like, why? Why was this not done? Like, I don't even think that Washington saved any money. Like, I don't even understand anything about this. And to be honest, it almost like makes me a little bit worried about Terry going into the season, because we've seen this before in the past where these guys like don't practice all camp and then they try to like ramp it up super quick, like the week before the season. And then, you know, obviously I don't want to project any injuries, but this is like perfect storm for injuries. But, you know, other than that, it's good news. Jaden's got his guy. So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I had been buying the dip on McLaurin. He just fell like way too far for too long due to his contract dispute. And like, obviously these trade requests can go the other direction, as we just saw with Parsons, right? But this one felt like a bet that was worth making. Like, you can't possibly want to leave Jaden Daniels in year 2 with an improved offense.
Right.
And I couldn't see the Commanders wanting to move on from him either. I mean, his ask was kind of crazy. I mean, that team's got a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. So, I mean, one thing on him, beauty of slow drafts, I just locked in the Washington double stack in my last $100 hot route.
Nice.
So I got JD at 47, McLaurin at 50, Debo at 74, and then that team also has Gibbs, McBride, and Ladd, and Travis Hunter. So that feels nice as my last entry in a 3 max. But McLaurin is already back in the 3rd round in drafts now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like it just makes no sense. They could have got this done a month ago, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that Terry was playing hardball and he was trying to get everything that he could, but I don't know, man. It just seems like this was one that didn't need to happen, and they could have just locked this up a month ago and not, you know, try to rush him back before the season. But you know, it was a blast watching them last year, so hopefully they keep it going this year, and they got health on their side. But finally some clarity
sure.
on that one. Let's move on to another one where we have what I feel like is the opposite of clarity. Devon Achane not practicing. Kind of alarming, honestly. So Miami Dolphins running back Devon Achane did not practice at all on Thursday. He hasn't practiced in over a week due to a nagging calf injury, but the general manager, Chris Greer, said on Wednesday that the team expects him to play week 1 of the regular season against the Colts. So I know that we have touched on this before. I know a lot of like Twitter doctors have expressed concern just about like, whenever you start mentioning calves and trying to rush people back from calves, you always think about the worst when it comes to like Achilles and stuff like that. So do you have any lingering doubts when it comes to drafting him or just the outlook of this situation?
Yeah, I've been taking him still. I keep seeing that, he remains on track to be ready for week 1. So I'm holding strong on my Achane bags.
Yeah.
Especially while I've got this window where he's like falling to the end of the second, and I have an opportunity to pair him with guys like Chase and CD.
Yeah.
While he's had this little dip. So, we talk about this all the time in basketball. You want guys who can score 50.
Yep.
That's certainly one of a handful of guys that can do it. I will say though, for home leagues, I think it makes a ton of sense to draft Ollie Gordon.
Right.
Because you're just going to end up blowing your fab on him after week 1 anyway. If Achane misses any time, or if he has like a 10% reduction in his performance, especially with the Jalen Wright procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Ollie Gordon is a guy season long. I'm trying to grab in the late rounds in the draft so I can save those fab dollars. But
I agree with you. I'm usually not that big of a fan of drafting handcuffs, but I feel like this is one of those situations that it probably would be malpractice to invest such a high pick on Achane and then not get some type of security on the back end.
Yeah, I suspect he'll be ready week 1 though. It's kind of my reading.
And this is one of those situations too where you just don't get this opportunity very often, right? Like with a guy like this who could potentially be the RB1 catching a dip like this right before the season. I mean, there's a good chance that we could look back at this and nothing could have come of it, right? He could be completely fine all year.
The winning team could have been drafted because of this dip. Honestly, he's that impactful. Achane would have to miss for him to not be worth a late second round price.
Right. Yeah.
Like if he misses week 1, I'm good with it still, honestly.
Right. So I think that I'm still on board. I still am taking him.
And everything we've heard about his recovery is that it's just kind of on schedule.
Yep.
Normal injury, and he should be ready to go.
That's about all I had on the news hits. I know it was a lot. So I think we're going to just move on to the main topic of today's show and talk about the late round sleepers. So little prerequisite. We picked players that have an ADP past 150 or 150 and below. So that would put them in, what round is 150?
150 falls in round 13.
Okay, so around 13 and beyond. So we have about 5 or 6 players here we're going to talk about. And when I think about these types of sleepers, I think about like back to a couple years ago when I was like slamming Puka and Kyron and all these like last rounds. And, they end up being like generational type sleepers. And obviously we're not going to get those guys every year, right? I mean, the odds of that happening are astronomical, but we got a few guys that we like in these rounds, and I've been taking a ton of these guys. So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to talk about the first one, and it's Cam Ward. So he is the quarterback for Tennessee, first round pick this year, maybe the least covered 101 pick ever, especially with Travis Hunter going right behind him. And then obviously all of the Shadur stuff that happened at the draft. So Cam Ward feels like the forgotten man. Right now his ADP is 150, QB 24. So to me, it kind of feels like all of the QBs that go like behind him or even like around him, they just don't feel like they have any juice, right? And again, I've talked about how I'm a big rookie guy. I love the unknown when it comes to rookies. I want to get in on these guys before they skyrocket to the moon. Just talking about some guys that are like right around him. Geno, Darnold, Stafford goes behind him. And then obviously some of the other like rookies like Dart is going a little bit behind him too. But obviously Cam Ward gets the start from the jump. The bull case for Cam Ward and why he's kind of like been a target for me is it just kind of rests on his elite college production, especially last year. And obviously he's guaranteed the starting role in Tennessee. They've improved their offensive line a little bit. And then just a system that kind of plays to his strengths as a big-armed, creative playmaker with some rushing upside. So he's not a super prolific rusher. He's not like a Lamar or anything like that, but he is smart with the ball in his hands when he does decide to tuck it and run. So he's a good scrambler. You can probably expect somewhere in the range of like 200 to 400-ish yards maybe. So obviously we're not expecting like a Justin Fields, a Drake May type of rusher, but you can expect him to like extend plays, extend drives potentially. He's really smart about when he does decide to run. And then the Titans roster, it's not super stacked, but it is, I would say, good enough for Ward to produce like a 3,500 to potentially a 4,000 passing yard season with like 20-ish touchdowns. So I mean, we're not talking about top 5 production. He's not Drake May, which I've already mentioned. But I'm just kidding. I wouldn't necessarily pencil him in for a QB1, but if we're talking about a guy that has spike week upside, especially like later in the year once he's kind of like a little bit more seasoned, this feels like a really good third QB or potentially a second QB if you went for an elite. Yeah, and I don't really love waiting after this to grab a QB. I want to at least have 2 or 3 potentially, and then fill up the rest of my draft with like the other skill positions. So I feel pretty good about Cam Ward this year, and we'll touch on another one of his guys in a second. But yeah, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, you said it. I was just gonna say he's like the perfect. Like I've been leaning back into these 3 QB builds because like if you get an elite, there's a tendency to get one more and then stop.
Right.
But it's like if your elite rests on week 17 because you need the chalk to get you there, right? And then he rests on week 17.
Hurts last year.
Right. Then it's like, give me 2 guys that have a shot to hit my lineup at that position. And he's a guy like with Dart, but he's the starter, right? Like he's a guy that like is going to be playing week 17.
Right.
And what if he just like decides to have this rocket performance to build some momentum going into his sophomore year? They're not playing for anything, but he just decides he has no pressure and he's the spike week you need week 17, kind of like Bryce Young last year, right? He's the perfect guy for that. And it feels like the right amount of draft capital too, because right around 150, like if you pair him with an elite or grab another mid-tier guy before that, like an elite plus like who else goes in this range before him?
150. So Bryce is at 150.
Bryce.
Yeah. Bryce is at 150 or 147. Tua is at 146.
Tua will fall in that range. Yeah. So like pairing an elite with like a Tua and him feels pretty comfy at the position for best ball purposes.
Yeah. And you mentioned Dart. We didn't really put Dart into this doc, but I mean, Dart has had a great preseason. He looks pretty swaggy out there, man. I don't know. He's got some juice too. So, but like you said, you just don't know when they're going to pull the trigger on him and give him the reins. And I would assume that he is in there at the end of the year because like what do they really have to lose by playing him over Russell Wilson, right? So Dart is going. His ADP is in the 190s. So I mean he's an even later target. But if you just want to lock in, full 17 weeks of production, I feel pretty good about Cam Ward.
Yeah. No, facts.
I think we're going to touch on Elic Ayomanor as well, since he's kind of connected to Cam Ward. We put him in here next. His ADP is 191, going as the wide receiver 75. So if you don't know, Elic Ayomanor is a wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. He was drafted this year as well with Cam Ward in the 4th round. His bull case is he has a clear path to playing time. Calvin Ridley's there. Obviously, he's penciled in as the 1, but Tyler Lockett is the 2. And I wouldn't necessarily think that Elic Ayomanor can't pass him at some point. He's already shown some really great chemistry with Cam Ward through the preseason. He's had some great plays with him, including a long 47-yarder. And I do think that there is some room for opportunity in this offense. We're not blowing the doors off with these guys, right? But spike week candidates, late in the season guys that are kind of forgotten about. Very easy to stack these guys up. I've touched on in other pods like how kind of bullish we are in some of the Saints guys. Pairing these guys up with like a Rashee, Shaheed, or an Olave feels pretty good because they're the Week 17 stack. I just feel like this is a guy that's getting forgotten about kind of at the back end of drafts. He's had a great preseason, already showing a good connection with Cam Ward, and I feel like you could just do a lot worse in this range.
Yeah. I like this one too, obviously for the reasons he's connected to Cam Ward. I was trying to find like what's his betting prop for season long yards.
Let me see if I can pull that up while you're talking.
Yeah, because I'd be tempted to take the over. Yeah, but it's like we just talked about, right? Like these are why these late round picks are so important because, like, is Tyler Lockett going to win you $2 million?
Right.
Probably not. Could Elic Ayomanor be the guy that ships you? Past the crowd in Week 17? Yeah, absolutely. Especially if I'm taking Cam Ward. Like, I want him. I want Chig. This is a very ambiguous pass-catching room in totality. Beyond Calvin Ridley, who's old and had a questionable finish to last year, quarterback issues aside.
Mm-hmm.
Ayomanor's also just been flashing in camp. Like, he's this big-bodied, like skillful route runner, and he's been getting buzz, and rightfully so. So, he's the perfect backstack for Cam Ward. Like, and his ADP is creeping up on Cam Ward, so you kind of almost got to double tap him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like there's three guys right now that like I'm going to try to finish all my drafts grabbing. It's one, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
At the wide receiver position. The other one we're about to talk about. But yeah, he's a guy that's just I want him in my room on my best ball teams.
Yeah, I don't even think that any of the books have set a line for his yardage. That's kind of how like under the radar he's flying. So
all right.
Yeah, I've been kind of making it a point to target the Titans. I feel like they could just be like the forgotten team that you need at the end of the year, and he is the guy that I feel the best about connecting to Cam Ward. I also like Chigakonkwo as well as like a second or potentially a third tight end. I feel good about these two guys, especially late.
Yeah, and one other note on Ayomanor, he dog walked Travis Hunter in college. Like, and he mossed him.
I feel like
him
on
in that
every
OT game.
On every pod that I've seen that Ayomanor is talked about on, everybody mentions this game.
Yeah, noted Travis Hunter abuser. And he, again, the preseason production, you want to see what they look like with the starter on the field. I mean, he had 4 targets on 7 routes with Cam Ward on the field in the preseason. So that's significant. Cam Ward's looking for him.
I like these two. Let's move on to the next one. Your guy.
Yeah, so this is number 2 of the 3 wide receivers I alluded to, them trying to get in every draft to round out the year. And it's Isaac TeSlaa. Should have been a New Orleans Saint. But yeah, ADP of 174 right now, wide receiver 72, and he is kind of gradually rising. This is a guy, again, you just can't ignore the preseason production here. Mm-hmm. He had 10 catches, 146 yards, and 3 touchdowns across 3 games in the preseason.
I feel like he was always putting up a highlight from each of their games.
I mean, every week he just kept adding steam to his own hype train with his preseason performances. Big plays too. He did the worm celebration in that last game. Yeah. I mean, he's got swag. They traded Tim Patrick, which kind of further clears the logjam they had there, and that's really opened up the door for him to kind of claim that wide receiver spot behind Amon-Ra and J-Mo.
Yep.
In what is a high octane offense, right? Dan Campbell has been kind of praising his performances. He's 6'4", 214, runs a 4.43 40.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got the big play potential. He didn't have like a elite college production, but he can win down the field. I think he's shown that in the preseason. Obviously, we know this is a pass heavy scheme. He's a strong candidate for splash plays in that offense. That offense that already features Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams, and you've got the slot god right now in ASB. They could really open up things for this guy who can win down the field. So again, just the kind of player I want in my wide receiver rooms and best ball teams. Like could be that week 17 like random spike that kind of separates you from especially in like a 1,000-player field like the Millie.
Yeah, I love this pick. I especially love him for the backstack ability with, like you mentioned, with the Lions, but also if you start with a Minnesota stack, he's a great bring back, especially late. I know that you mentioned how he didn't have a ton of production at Arkansas, and I've heard other people mention this as well. But I mean, Arkansas just isn't known for having like prolific offenses, so it doesn't necessarily worry me. Their offense just isn't where it used to be, so I'm not necessarily worried about his production from college. And I just love throwing him at the end of these stacks, and he just makes a lot of sense.
To your point about like that Minnesota Detroit Week 17 game environment specifically, if you want to flesh out that stack, you got to invest pretty high draft capital with it.
Right.
If you want any of the other pieces, it's Amara, JMO, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta. All those players are going above pick 60, 65, and then it's Goff and McCarthy, which are in the hundreds. So he's like that last piece of the Detroit offense you can get. That's probably going to be a positive EV bet because he's getting the hype. He's getting the coach speak. He's got the drum beat from camp. He's got the preseason production. And clearly they want to use him. So, in that pass heavy scheme. So,
yeah. And I mean, these games, the Minnesota Lions games, they're always very competitive games, right? So I feel like that's a stack that you like, that you feel really good about targeting. And, you just want pieces from that one if you can get it there. So
easily a top 5 week 17 game for me.
For sure.
Minnesota, Detroit.
I like that one.
They're probably going to be playing for seeding. So
yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the next one. I love this guy. I'll let you kick it off. It's Kyle Williams. I'll let you go in on this
Kyle
one.
Williams, ADP right around TeSlaa now. And this is dipped. Like he's at 172.6 now, wide receiver 67. He had been flashing early in training camp. And he had an ADP at that time, the 140s. Like he was getting a lot of hype in like July. And he got plenty of reps with Diggs, kind of still nursing, the ACL recovery, and Mac Hollins was off the field. But the injury caused him to drop into like the 170s fairly recently. But if you go watch some of some of his preseason tape, he didn't have a lot of production, but what I loved and what stuck out to me is the separation. Like he's clearly able to find space against zone and in man coverage, like consistently beating his man. It's kind of funny because it's like Isaac TeSlaa is the new Kyle Williams, right, in draft season, because like this we were hyped about Kyle Williams the way we're hyped about Isaac TeSlaa now, and he's got even higher, I think, draft capital. This is a player we just can't forget about just because of this injury. Like for him to drop 30 spots, like I have been kind of scooping that value. It's, again, like when you've got sort of your core 4 or 5 receivers, he's a guy along with like the Trey Harrises and the Isaac TeSlaas and some of these rookie upside, high upside picks you want to tack on. Obviously, Steph Diggs is the alpha there. You've got Pop Douglas as sort of the reliable slot man. So Williams can kind of offer that field stretching role for your boy Drake May. And they also cut last year's rookie Javon Baker, and Jalen Polk is going to miss the entire season. So I don't see him really in direct competition with like a Kayshon Boutte. I think he's more of a player that's going to need opportunity on the outside. So another player again that, like, if I just want to tack on some juice, he's one of those guys next to Ayomanor and TeSlaa that I just want those late round receivers. We're just trying to get Pukas, man. We're trying to find another Puka. And
to your point earlier, Kyle Williams was the 69th pick. Nice. And TeSlaa was the 70th pick. So literally back to back.
Okay.
Yeah. I love this guy. It's well documented. My bags for New England are well packed. So I love taking him whenever I can. And that's the thing too. Maybe we can do this on a later show, just kind of talk about like tendencies and stuff. But I just tend to gravitate towards a lot of the same guys in the later rounds because they just feel the best. And when it works out really well. I was in on Puka everywheres 2 years ago, and Kyron as well. A lot of teams I had them both on. Sometimes I just kind of just don't put too much effort into thinking through a lot of these late rounders, and I just pick the guys that I have a lot of, and I make these bets, and I'm usually all in, which is why a lot of these guys are super high on my exposure list, just because I'm just constantly taking them at the end. Let's move on to the next guy, and we kind of talked about him a little bit over the last couple of episodes, especially in the picks episode, best picks episode in each round. But it's Jalen Coker, and we got some news on him, related to him. The Panthers just traded Adam Thielen to Minnesota, so clears the lane for Coker. You want to take it away on Coker?
Yeah, sorry, Blake. I'm going to spotlight your guy. Establish a Run just bumped him to 149 in their latest rankings. He had been in the 200s.
Yeah,
that's a pretty significant rise.
Yeah.
The market has kind of been slow to react to this one too since the Thielen trade. I did a couple drafts today, and he's still kind of falling right at maybe in the sharp drafts, he's going in the 160s, and people are grabbing him. But in the bigger tournaments with the casuals, he's still falling sometimes into the 180s. So
yeah,
we'll see. And I'm just going to keep clicking him. But here's an interesting stat that I saw in a tweet yesterday. So he's projected to be the starting slot receiver for the Panthers from the slot last year. Coker ran 64 routes last year and earned 20 targets for 170 yards with Young as the QB. On those targets, he averaged 2.65 yards per route, which ranked sixth in yards per route run from the slot behind these five receivers: Adam Thielen, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr., Rashad Bateman, George Pickens, Chris Godwin, and Terry McLaurin.
That's a good list.
He's behind those guys. And to add to that, Xavier Legette last year, who could be good this year too. I don't want to sleep on him, but he received 44 more targets from the slot than Coker did. And despite that, Coker earned 135 more receiving yards than Legette. Yeah. So it's a small sample size, but he may be trending, as a great slot wide receiver and a potential league winner.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much trying to grab him ahead of ADP in all of the drafts I've got left. Perfect guy to target, especially if you're behind at wide receiver, because he had some spike weeks last year.
Yep.
And now the pathway is kind of cleared for him to take off.
I just feel like Coker has some of that juice, and this is an offense that we've been kind of buying into. All off season. Tet is my highest exposed guy. I'm for better or worse all in on the Panthers. So that kind of goes hand in hand with this.
What's your
Coker
percentage
love.
on Tet?
What's my percentage? Ooh, I haven't checked it in a bit. I think it's over 50.
Dang.
Yeah.
Jealous, man. He's going to be more expensive with this news too. He's already in the fourth. And I just think them trading Thielen is just such a statement that he's him. Ted is going to be him this year one.
Yeah. My exposure is 53 on Tet.
Golly, dude, I'm jealous.
That's 16 drafts. I mean, 16 is 53% for me, but I'm all in, and I've got to pair that up. Let me see, where's Bryce on this? Bryce is at 16%, so don't get him all the time paired up, but I try to as best as I can. So let me see where Coker's at. Do have Coker at 16%, 5 drafts. So I mean, not a lot, but some.
That's a fun stack right now. Tet, Bryce, and Coker.
Jatavian Sanders
really
too.
Fun.
To throw in if you want to quadruple stack it or whatever.
And you can even get Rico Dowdle for the contingent. Stack.
Just get them all. They're super
they
cheap.
too.
The only one that's not cheap is Tet, but yeah, I feel good about Coker. I like him a lot. Let's move on to our last one, Kendre Miller.
Wouldn't be us if we didn't have a Saint.
Oh yeah, come on. This is a Saints pod after all. Kendre Miller, the forgotten man in New Orleans, blame Dennis Allen for this one. His ADP is 222. I mean, he is basically free. You can get him in the last round. RB 73. This guy is still only 23. Year 3, still only 23. Was super young coming out. Third rounder back in 2023. And yeah, he's just been in the doghouse with Dennis Allen for the last 2 years. Granted, he has dealt with a lot of injuries. He can't seem to stay healthy, but it feels like he can now. He's had a great camp with a new coaching staff that seems to want to get him involved. The bull case for him is it kind of just rests on he's a great handcuff to Kamara, but I think he has standalone value on his own. New coaching staff. I feel like they're going to try to pull the usage of Kamara back a little bit just to kind of keep him healthy throughout the year. This is a guy who, for the last couple of years, just kind of gets, banged up as the season goes along. They kind of want to probably keep him healthy as long as they can. I feel like Kendre Miller is going to have an expanded role. We've touched on this. We don't need to dive super into our Saints take. I feel like the offensive line is going to overachieve from what a lot of people think they are. Kendre he's had a great camp, maybe a top 5 Saints camp from like what we've seen, and he has potential to catch a lot of balls too. He's good.
He's got the skill set.
Yeah, he's a good pass catching back. He has contingent upside if Kamara goes down, which unfortunately he has the last couple of years. So, again, we're looking for guys down here that you can just get something from, right? I feel like he has some good spike week potential, especially late in the season when they're maybe completely out of it. Maybe they're just completely resting Kamara by the end of the year. Maybe, we don't want to think about it. Maybe Kamara is traded at some point this year. I hope not. I think he doesn't want that. But, you never know with this team in flux the way it is. So I don't know. I think there is contingent upside if Kamara is either missing time or not on this team. But yeah, you can do a lot worse, in my opinion, in the last round.
100%, man. And look, I know Kellen Moore is coming off of all-world usage being handed to Saquon. Alvin Kamara played literally one play in the preseason. Yeah, so I do think he's poised for a big workload. But I think Kendre is going to mix in. I think he's going to be the back to spare him. Look, you got to sell me. As a TCU Horned Frog alumni, Kendre Miller was freaking fun to watch, man. Up close and personal. I saw the full skill set in college. He was explosive. And I know we got freaking dog walked in that national championship by Georgia, but if Kendre Miller got hurt,
he got hurt in the semifinals?
He got hurt the game before the semifinals, and everyone was wondering if he was going to be back for Georgia.
Right.
And he didn't make it back. And we probably would have still got smacked. But
do you remember the buzz around him, or where do you think he would have been drafted if he wasn't injured? Was he
because he went the second with us?
He was a third with us. We took him in the third.
I think second was within range for sure because he was super productive, man. Explosive plays. He was our lead back. He's a big reason TCU made that national championship run in college. He was huge for us, and so I've been a big believer. Kendre Miller, this Dennis Allen regime crap was always so weird, and he's had some injury misfortune, but this is the year, and I'm mad that he's getting this bump. Like he started to go in like the fourth to last round now, and he used to be free because people are kind of buying some of this, same type. But there's an outcome where Kamara's gotten hurt the last 2 years. There's an outcome where Kendre Miller takes the backfield and hits your lineup 2 weeks when Kamara's nursing an injury, or if Kamara's resting at the end of the season, it's wheels up. They're just gonna hand the ball to Kendre. So he right now is my favorite running back to take late round as a sixth, sometimes even a fifth guy if I went heavy on the draft capital. Love Kendre Miller.
I think Kellen Moore is just very good at utilizing the skill sets of the guys that he has, and the running backs on this team are a strength. They really are. Alvin Kamara, he's getting up there in age, and I know. Thank God we don't have Blake on this pod because he would just be losing his mind over a 30-year-old running back that we're talking about up right now. But I mean, Alvin Kamara is the face of this team still, and he will be probably until the day that he retires. And he's shown last year that he still has it. And all reports coming out of camp, he still hasn't lost a step. I don't know, man. Maybe he's like Derrick Henry, and we'll just be fading Alvin Kamara for another 10 years, the same way we've been fading Derrick Henry. But yeah, man, I just think that Kendre. What other running backs in the 20th round have juice like this potentially?
There's none, dude. None. Yeah. Like literally right now is none. Because like with some of this news, like would you rather a Kyle Monangai or a Raheem Mostert? Or like,
let's look at who is. Let's look at who's in the 220s for the running backs. It
Isaac
is
Garindo now. Like after Giddens, it's dust. I mean, Corum is getting some news lately, so he might be back
Hunter, maybe Jordan James. I mean, there was a while that Devon Neal was going above Kendre Miller, and like I get it.
Devon Neal's probably going to end the draft cycle being a higher drafted player than Kendre Miller, which is insane.
Devon Neal's at 227, and Miller he's at 222. So, I mean, they're right around each other. But, like, Devon Neal was a 6th round pick. Kendre Miller was a 3rd. And I get it, different regimes, but there's a reason for that.
Right.
Like, I mean, regardless of regime, there's a reason for that. And I just hope that he can stay healthy this year and potentially be the guy, like the heir apparent to Kamara. I mean, the best case scenario, I mentioned it on the Saints What If pod, like, best case, this is the new Mark Ingram Kamara 1-2 punch. But even still, I still think that you can do a lot worse. Just tacking Miller onto your roster at the back ends of drafts.
Definition of a sleeper. Perfect way to end the show on him because not only have people not seen it in the NFL yet, but he's on a team that people want to avoid. So he's being slept on heavy, and I think he has standalone value. Like we've got a coach that I think is going to use him and Kamara on the field together.
I think so too. And I think that's like you said, a great place to wrap it up. I promise we're done. Maybe not, but we're mostly done talking about the Saints. I promise. As we get into the season, maybe they'll sneak into some DFS pods and stuff like that, or weekly DFS pods. Okay, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I feel pretty good about these sleepers. Go draft these guys. They're pretty much free in all of these drafts. You don't have to fight to get them or anything like that.
And this is get your guy season. Like after pick 150, ADP is like the loosest read of value. So just go get these dudes who we now have complete. Like if this news wasn't valuable, we'd all just finish drafting our teams in May. We get as much, pick 99 Egbuka and pick 80 something Golden as we can, right? But like it's for these guys. Like at this time, like when the casuals are coming in, they don't know about Elic Ayomanor and Isaac TeSlaa and Jalen Coker.
Right.
This is edge, right? So it's like get these dudes, like take them at 160, take them at 170. Like don't wait for their ADP right now because it's so misleading after pick 150. This is how you get some separation. Yeah,
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Next week, we should have Blake back. I think we're going to try to do 1, maybe 2 more episodes before the season starts. And then, we'll keep we'll update you guys on what our in-season schedule looks like. We do have some plans for that. But yeah, we're talking about doing a shared 5-5-5 draft potentially. Maybe.
Potentially, big money, high stakes.
Get in there with the big boys.
We'll share the winnings. That'll be us fighting live on the pod about who to pick.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Then we got a few more Millie drafts. I know Trey says he's got 4 more. I think I'll probably do like 4-ish more. Maybe we'll do a live Millie to wrap up the best ball season. And then, we'll talk to you guys about final exposures. I think Trey's will be fun to kind of go over. Well, how many drafts are you at right now?
400 on the nose.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
a few more to go, but yeah, I'm curious to see what each of our like top 5 exposures in the bottom 5 to see like what are the guys we don't have enough of, who did we fade, and like
who are we worried the most
where we're going to
about?
take the L's.
Yeah.
What do we know we were going to take the L's? Like let's definitely do that.
Well, we're looking forward to kind of closing the season out, or closing the best ball season out and getting into some real football, talking about the fun stuff. But stay with us, stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe everywhere.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you guys soon. Peace.